Hello, and thank you for joining our Food Distribution Program webinar on processing U.S. Department of Agriculture foods and completing processing surveys, the second in our series of 5 FDP webinars planned for this current school year. My name is Amy Bell, Child Nutrition Consultant with the California Department of Education Food Distribution Program. And I will be joined today by Felicia Zuniga, South State Co-op Coordinator, also with the FDP. The purpose of this webinar is to give our agencies a better understanding of the processing component of the USDA Foods program. We would like to emphasize that this webinar is intended for our state co-op members and allocation agencies. However, it can provide some clarity for any participant of the food distribution program. During this webinar, we will define what USDA Foods processing is and then go into the fine details on how agencies can calculate the correct amount of bulk USDA Foods to send to processors. After we explain the process, Felicia will provide a live demonstration on how to complete and submit the processor survey in the CDE's Child Nutrition Information and Payment System. What is processing? Processing is the utilization of bulk USDA foods as an ingredient by approved commercial foods processors in the production of finished end products. In simple terms, it is taking a bulk USDA food item and creating a new ready-to-consume food item. An example would be using ground beef to make meatballs or taco filling. We will continue to clarify and provide more examples as we go. The USDA makes 2 types of foods available for the FDP, brown box items and bulk items. Brown box refers to food products that are delivered ready for consumption. Items such as chicken fajita meat, canned fruit, and tortillas. USDA offers a large variety of brown box items that schools can order, but for the purpose of this webinar, we will be discussing their bulk items. The USDA offers a variety of bulk items that can be ordered and sent to an approved processor for further processing. These include items such as raw whole chicken, coarse ground beef, whole turkey, frozen fruit, and large blocks of cheese. A school district can order bulk chicken, send to an approved processor of their choosing, and have that item turned into an item such as orange chicken or chicken tenders. Another example is the purchase of bulk apples, which can be sent to an approved processor to create packaged sliced apples. Ordering bulk USDA foods for processing is a great way to provide students foods they enjoy and items they can look forward to having on their menus. For agencies that have limited resources, such as limited staff or equipment, or cannot cook from scratch, there can be benefits to ordering bulk USDA food items for processing, and you will want to consider the following before deciding to do so. These benefits include variety of foods. You are able to serve items that you would not typically be able to serve if your staff had to prepare them on site. For instance, ethnic items such as egg rolls, breaded items such as breaded chicken patties, or baked items such as muffins. Processed items are usually convenient and offer easy and fast preparation for staff since many items just need to be heated and served versus preparing a menu item from scratch. Processed items also require less skilled labor and equipment since you do not have to prepare these items from scratch. As again, many processed items just need to be heated and served. For food consistency, processors ensure that their items are consistent and look and taste the same every time they are made. Little to no food waste as you receive just what you will use rather than using a raw product that may create waste. For example, preparing a chicken entree with bone-in chicken. Portion control. You will know exactly how many portions you are receiving in every case, as most items come individually wrapped. The first step to processing bulk USDA foods is to plan your menu to determine which processed end products you would like to serve, which, due to the diverse nature of each district, is something we won't be covering in this overview. Once you determine the menu items, it's time to find approved processors that process those end products. The California's approved processor listing shows which processors are approved by the CDE and the types of items they make. You will need to contact the processors for specifics regarding their products, pricing, distribution, and delivery to determine which processors fit your needs before you send any USDA foods to them. After you have identified who makes each of the products you would like to use, you must procure their services. Again, this is an overview. We won't be going into specifics. But keep in mind whether your procurement falls above or below the current year's formal bid threshold, which is adjusted annually for inflation. All procurement must be competitive. Please be on the lookout for procurement trainings provided by the NSDA in the near future. In the meantime, I would also like to mention that the Institute of Child Nutrition, formerly known as the National Food Service Management Institute, has a procurement training resource titled Procurement in the 21st Century, which is a resource designed specifically for school food authorities and is available on their website. So when choosing to process USDA foods, there are a few responsibilities to keep in mind. Always plan menus to meet meal pattern requirements. You will want to make certain that your menus have all the required components and correct serving sizes to ensure your meals are reimbursable. Effectively utilize your entitlement by placing orders based on usage and student taste tests. It is important to send the correct amount of food to a processor so that you do not waste entitlement by sending too much food and not being able to use it. It is also important to consider your students' preferences when choosing a menu item. If they won't eat a product, then your inventory sits at the processor and entitlement is wasted. It is also important to monitor inventory to ensure that you have enough to meet your menu requirements. To spend entitlement wisely, it is important to order based on usage and make sure that you are not ordering food to send to a processor if you have existing inventory. You will need to monitor orders to processors to assure that the processor is using your pounds and that you are receiving the correct rebate or discount for USDA foods from the processor or distributor. The rebate or discount will depend on which value pass-through system is used. The approved processor list is posted on the CDE USDA Foods Processing Program webpage. The list shows which processors are approved to process USDA foods for California schools, the processor's contact information, the USDA foods accepted by each processor, and a summary of all the end products made by each processor. We currently have about 75 nationally and California-only processors approved in California. We want to reiterate that just because a processor is on the approved processor list does not mean that you do not have to go through the procurement process, but you can bid for processed items through distributors. There are a few questions you should research to help you decide which USDA foods to order and in what quantity. First, you will need to determine which USDA foods are used to make the finished end product you desire. For example, there are several types of chicken that can be processed, so you must know the type of chicken your processor can accept to make a specific end product. Also, some processed end products like pizza use multiple USDA foods, so you will need to decide if you will send one or more ingredients to the processor to make your end product. All processors have summary end product data schedules that will provide you with this important information. Processors will make this document available to you at your request. Some processors may need to combine many small orders into one production run. Not all processors have end products ready at all times. Asking the processor if they have a minimum production run requirement will help determine if the processor will have the items ready when you need them. You will need to ask the processor how many servings are in a case. This will help determine how much bulk USDA food you need to order. Many processors have tools available to help you plan menu items and to help you figure out how much USDA foods to use. This is important when deciding how much USDA food to divert to your processors. Cost is a factor in choosing menu items. You will need to ask the processor the cost per serving to determine if you are able to afford an item. It is also important to know which value pass-through system your processor uses, since knowing this will help you ensure you are receiving the discounted price or the rebate for USDA Foods. This is a Summary End Product Data Schedule, or SEPDS. Each processor submits a Summary End Product Data Schedule for approval for every product it produces. The SEPDS contains useful information such as which USDA food are used to make a finished end product, how many pounds of each USDA food goes into each case of an end product, and the number of servings per case. Schools may request this document from any approved processor. The SEPDS helps you determine the type and amount of USDA food to send to the processor to make a specific end product. The SEPDS also provides the USDA Foods credit you receive for each of the USDA foods diverted to the processor. We will show you a sample SEPDS and how to use it shortly. We would like to reiterate that before you decide to send USDA food to a processor, you will need to determine what finished end products you want to order from the processor, how much end product you will need for the school year, and the quantity of USDA foods required to make it. We will go over some calculations to help you order the correct amount of food so that you do not run out of USDA foods at a processor, or worse, end up with excess inventory at a processor. We would like to mention that some processors have calculation tools to assist you with determining the amount of USDA foods needed for a desired product, which can be very helpful. The first step is to determine the quantity of cheese pizza a school needs to serve in a year. Please note that we have made up all the numbers in these examples, so they should not be used for actual ordering purposes. Let's first determine the number of cases of pizza needed for a school year if the school serves pizza once a month for 10 months to 2,000 kids. We will multiply 2,000 servings of pizza times 10 months. This equals 20,000 servings of pizza needed for the school year. Each case of pizza from the processor contains 96 servings. Remember, you can determine the number of servings per case from the processor's SEPDS. We will then divide the 20,000 servings needed by 96 servings per case, which equals 208.33 cases. This is the number of cases needed to order to fulfill your menu requirement. You must round up to 209 cases to ensure you have enough pizza to serve. Using this calculation method, you now know that you will need to order 209 cases of cheese pizza in order to serve it once a month for 10 months to 2,000 students. Pretty simple, right? First step complete. This is a sample SEPDS. We will be using it to determine the amount of USDA cheese to send to the processor to make the 209 cases of pizza. As you can see, the SEPDS shows us that this processor accepts USDA tomato paste, flour, and mozzarella cheese. The SEPDS also shows the USDA food item code to ensure you are ordering the correct USDA food. To determine the amount of cheese needed, you will notice that each case of pizza contains 6.12 pounds of cheese per case, and you will receive $10.51 credit for using USDA cheese in each case of pizza. Now let us determine the amount of USDA cheese to send to a processor. We are using the information from the SEPDS to determine how many pounds of USDA cheese are in a case of pizza. We will build upon our previous calculation. As you recall, we need to order 209 cases of pizza. As we just saw, the SEPDS tells us that there are 6.12 pounds of mozzarella cheese in a case of pizza. So from the SEPDS, we need 6.12 pounds of mozzarella cheese per case, and we need 209 cases of pizza. So we will multiply the pounds per case by the cases needed to determine that we need to order 1,279.8 pounds of USDA cheese. However, we will need to round up to 1,280 pounds since we must order in full pounds. This is the amount of pounds of cheese you would order to send to this processor on your processor survey in the Cnips. If you recall on the SCPDS, this processor also accepted USDA tomato paste and USDA flour. If you choose to send tomato paste and or the flour to this processor, you would follow these same steps to calculate the amount needed. Now that you know how to calculate the quantity of USDA foods to send to a processor, we will show you how to place an order. The processing survey is used by both advance order and state co-op agencies and gives these agencies the opportunity to send bulk USDA foods to approved processors to make further processed items. Agencies complete the processing survey in the Cnips prior to the upcoming school year. For example, this January and February, schools will place their orders for school year 2016-17. For each bulk item available for processing, agencies enter the total number of units in cases or pounds to divert to a selected processor. In order to avoid confusion, we created two processing surveys, which separate items by cases and pounds. This solves a few problems of accidentally over or under ordering by ordering in pounds when an item is in cases. 100 pounds of something is much smaller than 100 cases. USDA foods ordered via the processing survey are sent directly to the processor from USDA, and the end products are delivered by the processor or distributor directly to the ordering agency. These processed end products do not go through the state distribution centers. We would like to mention that agencies may spend any portion of their entitlement for diverting USDA foods to any approved processor. Each agency determines how much of their total entitlement to set aside for processed USDA foods, and the remaining balance is used towards brown box items and DoD produce. The processing survey looks the same for both advance order and state co-op agencies. The Food Distribution Program staff create these in Cnips and continue to create new surveys throughout the year if new items become available or if new delivery periods open, which may happen throughout a school year. Approved processors and the USDA foods they are approved to process are maintained in the Cnips. The system will prevent someone from trying to divert invalid combinations of items and processors. Now, Felicia Zuniga will demonstrate how to access and complete the Cnips processor survey.
Good afternoon. I'm going to take a few moments now to walk you through the 2016-17 school year processing survey in the Cnips test site. I will be using my CDE administrator login, so you will see more options on my screen than you do at the agency level. And since this is the Cnips test site, the screens will look slightly different from the Cnips screens you are used to seeing, but the functions and processes are the same. When you log into Cnips, you are directed to the Cnips program's main page. To access the processing survey, you will select the yellow Food Distribution Program module square displayed here in the lower right-hand corner. This will take you to the Food Distribution Program's welcome page. Here you will find important notifications pertaining to the Food Distribution Program, such as Management Bulletin notifications, Cnips contract update requirements, along with the website link with instructions for completing the Food Distribution Program contract, and also the website link for the Food Distribution Program Cnips how-to training videos. For instance, how to access, export, and print invoices. From this screen, you will select the agency's link on the blue ribbon located at the top of the screen to take you to the agency's main menu page. From the agency's menu, you will select the surveys link from the left-hand side of the menu. The program year default displayed is 2015 2016. Because this survey is for requesting processor diversions for the 2016-17 school year, you will need to change the program year by selecting 2016-17 from the program year drop-down menu. At this time, we are unable to create new program year for 2016-17 in the Cnips Live environment. The new program year 2016-17 will be created after the December 15th deadline for recipient agencies to change the way they receive their USDA Foods for the upcoming school year. Once you have the correct program year, you will need to verify that the SMP option is selected from the program drop-down menu. Now here's where my screen will differ from yours. Since I have access to all recipient agencies within the Food Distribution Program Cnips module, I have a drop-down menu for the agency's survey search criteria. You will only have access to your own school's data. For this demonstration, I will be using the Alpine Union Elementary School District. After you input the search criteria, you will select the Continue button to take you to the Available Surveys entry page. The survey entry page will list all the surveys that have been made available for the 2016-17 school year. The first column displays the survey number. The participation status column shows you which surveys you have submitted, which surveys have not been submitted, and surveys in which you have chosen not to participate. In the next column, the survey type is displayed. There are 3 survey types available in Cnips: the annual survey, which we use for the annual preference survey, the processing survey used for those items shipped directly to the processor, and the pre-planner survey used for both the brown box items shipped to the state distribution centers and for DoD produce shipped to those agencies not using the Favors online ordering system. This survey is only available to state co-op members that order their brown box items in advance. The fourth column lists the survey name, followed by the due date, which is the date we at the CDE Food Distribution Program will close the survey. Surveys are generally closed at 4 p.m. on the date indicated in this column. The final column displays the survey status. A survey will either be closed or open. In order to avoid confusion and misordering, we created 2 processing surveys. One survey includes only those items that USDA orders in cases, and the other survey is for those items that USDA orders in pounds. Requesting 100 pounds of an item is significantly less than 100 cases of an item that is ordered in 60-pound cases. This would short the agency's need by 5,900 pounds. If you do not see an item you normally order on one survey, please check the other survey. Items are not duplicated on the surveys. So from here, I will select survey number 1107 to take us to the 16-17 processor survey, which only includes those items ordered in cases. This may take a few moments to load in the Cnips environment when you complete your survey due to the high number of items included on the survey. The top screen of the survey form screen will display your agency name and vendor number. Below that, you will see the survey information details section followed by the special instructions box. Here you will find the contact information for your ordering coordinator should you have any problems with the processing survey. If you are not participating in the survey, please check the box on the left-hand side indicating that you will not participate. Checking this box will ensure that your agency stops receiving the survey notification reminder emails generated by Cnips. Please note that the Cnips automatic survey notification reminders are generated by Cnips using the program and ordering contact email address information provided in your Cnips contract. If you have had a change in staff or a change in the email address itself, please make the update in the Cnips FDP contract to ensure you are receiving emails from the food distribution program. At this time, Cnips still uses the word commodity, So for this demo, I may use the term commodity when referencing USDA Foods items. This is something we hope to correct in the near future. The first column includes commodity detail information such as the material number, pack size, and estimated USDA market value. Cnips is currently using the estimated 2015-16 school year pricing. Also included is the 80 cents per case admin fee, the minimum units, and the minimum units to multiple processors requirement to order processor items. These requirements are based on the processor minimums, not FDP's requirements. Items included on the actual processing survey, which we anticipate opening February 1st, will be taken from the 2016-17 USDA Foods Available List. In the second column, we have the unit type. This survey will only include those items ordered in cases. The third column shows the units diverted. This column is for state use only and will remain zero until confirmation is received from the USDA and a sales and order number is associated to the item requested. The fourth column is where you will input the units to process totals. The quantity entered in this column should represent your agency's total annual need for each specific item being requested. In the final column, you will select from a drop-down list which processor the item being requested will be shipped to. For some items, there are multiple processors to select from. There are 10 slots for each item available to submit multiple requests to the different processors you wish to have USDA Foods items shipped to. If you are sending product to different processors, you will need to complete the units to process for each processor destination. Before I proceed in demonstrating the processing survey ordering process, I want to mention again that we are using the Cnips test site and that these are sample surveys only. These surveys include an abbreviated list of the USDA foods available, and units minimums have been invented. The first item we will order is the frozen apple slices material number 100258. In the units to process column, let's request 10 cases of the frozen apple slices to be sent to Wawona Frozen Foods. You will notice that when I click on the processor drop-down list, I have the options of sending this product to the following processors: Wawona Frozen Foods, Tabachnik Fine Foods, Buena Vista Food Products Incorporated, Horizon Snack Foods, and National Food Group. I will click on Wawona Frozen Foods to select this processor for this item. Let's place another order for the mozzarella cheese material number 100022 for 10 cases to be shipped to Ardella's. This item is only approved to be shipped to Ardella's Pizza and Buena Vista Food Products. Now that your order is complete, we will select the Calculate Entitlement button located at the bottom of the survey screen to calculate the total entitlement spent. As you can see, shown here is the entitlement used for this survey, and just above that is the amount of entitlement remaining as displayed here. The Cnips will also display the estimated administrative fees that will be charged by us at the CDE Food Distribution Program to divert USDA Foods to a processor in the estimated fees section. Once you are satisfied with the orders placed, you will select the Continue button at this time, where you will have one last chance to review your order for accuracy, and then if everything is correct, here's where you will select the Submit Survey button. There may be a slight delay while Cnips is processing the survey, so please do not click the Submit button more than once. Once Cnips has processed your survey, you should receive the following message that your survey was saved successfully. Select the Finish button to complete the processing survey. This will also return you to the survey entry screen to complete the processing survey for the items ordered in pounds. You will notice that the participation status for survey number 1107 has now been changed to Submitted. If you do not have time to input your order in one session, you may select the Submit Survey button at any time to save your work in progress and return at a later date to finish. Changes to this survey may be completed up until the Cnips surveys are closed. I will now select survey number 1106 to take us to the 1617 processor survey, which only includes those items ordered in pounds. You will notice that the screen displays the same information as the previous processing survey. One difference is the unit type, which should be all displayed as pounds. Another difference is the admin fee charge. Whereas the admin fee charge on the processing survey for cases displays the 80 cents per case charge, the USDA Foods included on the pound survey will have different admin fee charges depending on the pounds per case equivalent for each item. Agencies are invoiced 80 cents per case for USDA Foods shipped directly to the processor. For items ordered in pounds, we have calculated a per pound charge based on the established 80 cents per case admin fee. To illustrate, let's look at the beans pencil dry tote material number 110381. The admin fee displayed is 0.016 cents per pound. FDP determined that the total pounds per case for this item is 50 pounds. In order to calculate the per pound charge, we divided the 80 cents per case admin fee by the total pounds per case, which for this example of the dry pinto beans is 50 pounds, to get a per pound admin fee of 0.16 cents. Now, as with the previous survey, if your agency will not be participating in this particular survey, please remember to check the box in the left-hand side indicating that you will not participate. Checking this box will ensure that your agency stops receiving the survey notification reminder emails generated by Cnips for this survey. Okay, now let's place an order for the beef course ground fine material number 100154. In the units to process column, I will request 100 pounds to be sent to Don Lee Farms. You will notice that when I click on the processor drop-down list, I have the option of sending this product to the following processors: JTM Provisions, Don Lee Farms, Rich Products, Integrated Food Service, Advanced Pierre, and American Foods Group. I will click on Don Lee Farms to select this processor for this item. The next item I will order is the chicken large chilled material number 100103 for 100 pounds to Rich Chicks. For this item, there are 4 processors to choose from in the processor drop-down list: King's Delight, Pilgrim's Pride, Tyson, and Rich Chicks. I will select Rich Chicks to complete this request, but I would also like to place an additional request for 100 pounds of the chicken large chilled to King's Delight. Under my first request to Rich Chicks, I will input 100 pounds in the units to process column and select King's Delight from the processor column. This is an example of ordering one USDA Foods item to multiple processors. Now that my order is complete, I will select the Calculate Entitlement button located at the bottom of the survey screen. to calculate the total entitlement spent on this survey and the amount of entitlement remaining. The balance displayed for the entitlement remaining will reflect the entitlement used on both surveys. Once I am satisfied with the orders placed, I will select the Continue button. After I have reviewed my order and am satisfied that it is correct, I will then select the Submit Survey button. Remember that there may be a slight delay while Cnips is processing the survey, so please do not click the Submit button more than once. Once Cnips has processed your survey, you should receive the following message that your survey was saved successfully. Select the Finish button to complete the processing survey and return you to the survey entry page. As with the previous survey, if you do not have time to input your order in one session, you may select the Submit button at any time to save your work in progress and return at a later date to finish. Changes to either survey may be completed up until the Cnips surveys are closed. This concludes our demonstration. I will now turn you back over to Amy Bell to complete the webinar.
If you need further assistance with processing surveys, you may contact Sherna Barron, our Advanced Order Coordinator. If you have any questions for our State Co-op Coordinators, you may contact Felicia Zuniga, our South State Co-op Coordinator, or Giovanna Tolliver-Bean, our North State Co-op Coordinator. If you have questions regarding any particular processors or processing in general, you may contact Nina Carr or Jeanette Lunt, two of our processing consultants. If you have general questions regarding the food distribution program, you may contact me, Amy Bell, or Sherry Tam. We are required to remind you that this institution is an equal opportunity provider. This now concludes our webinar. We thank you for spending the afternoon with us and hope you enjoyed today's presentation.